I don't think the snow's going to be that good today to need a pair of skis. Welcome to Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon. Today we're back at Brooklands for the start of the 2024 London to Brighton run. Some great cars arriving at the moment, so let's go and have a look at the guys who are going to make the long trek to Brighton. So a great way to get to the coast and also maybe go on the beach when you get there is a Citroen Mahari. I think these are 2CV based, GRP plastic bodies, minimum weather protection, so let's hope the sun holds here, because if it doesn't, you look like you're going to get a little bit wet. What an incredible vehicle these are, aren't they? You can see though they were so popular in beach resorts and French overseas territories. That looks amazing, doesn't it? So if you fancy something a bit more refined for your London to Brighton trip, how about a Mark II Jaguar? This is a 2.4 litre. The paint finish on that one is it's just beautiful. Really, really well done. I can't imagine that's the original paint. Metallics from that era don't survive that well. But that is a very classy way to make your way down to the coast. Isn't it lovely? An XK, beautiful. That must have been amazing when it made its debut back in 1948 at the Earls Court Motor Show, and it doesn't sound bad either, does it? So let's take a walk down the row of the cars that are going to go on this journey down to the coast. First of all, we've got a Volkswagen rear-engined Volkswagen Type 3, I believe. I do struggle between Type 3s and Type 4s, so if you do know an easy way to spot the two, stick it in the comments. There's an Alvis, I think it's a TD15, I'll correct that a bit later if I'm wrong. A bit further on than that, we've got a beautiful Austin Healey Mark II. I think there were three in the end, and Mark III being the last one. Absolutely stunning, built on the platform of the or partial platform of the Austin Atlantic. This one's lovely, isn't it? Let's have a close look at this one. It's beautifully trimmed inside with this cream and green piped trim. That's a beauty, isn't it? I wouldn't mind making the trip down to the coast in that one myself. So next up we've got a cam-tailed Alpha Spider from 78. It's a UK car, unusually. A lot of these came in, so it's UK, officially right-hand drive. Looks an absolute treat, doesn't it? That'd be a great way to spend some time in the sun, wouldn't it? We've got an MGB, we've also got an Alpine. I do like these. Remember one of these met a grizzly end in Get Carter. It's not a Tiger, it's the 1725cc or something engine. We've got a Midget, and of course what have we got here? We've got an Allegro. It celebrated a big birthday last year. This is a relative, well, early car, what, 79? Maybe not that early actually, but lovely in russet brown. And next to that we've also got a Mini Cooper. So these were relaunched in 90 under the I think under the Rover group by that time. This is a later car, quite a late one, a later one, 92. Production did cease a few years later. It's not got the sport extensions, and it's got the mini light wheels, but it looks beautiful, doesn't it, really? That colour scheme, that white over red with the Cooper stripes, always looks good to me with those. I think these are far better looking in drop top form than hard top form. It's the Chrysler Crossfire. Got some lovely details based on the Mercedes platform of the period when Daimler and Chrysler were together. Some interesting features, looking at the lines in the bonnet, some interesting styling features there. Does without that sort of curved back that Jeremy Clarkson hated so much. And they're quite good value for money as well. So the sun on that gold paintwork really makes it pop, doesn't it? On this Lotus Elite, this 503 Elite from 1979. I think production started maybe 74, 75. Actually, rare to see these. You probably see more of the later Eclats and even the Esprits, but the more usable Elite is a bit rarer. Quite a reasonable amount of room in the back there. Beautiful trim. Looks like quite a comfortable place to be for a sports car. Got got that semi-vinyl roof, and got, well, I suppose you could call it a hatchback. Some would call it just an opening rear window, but nevertheless a useful Grand Tourer. So this 1962 Giulietta TI is apparently an unusual car in that it's the only remaining right-hand drive Giulietta TI that was supplied by the Alfa Romeo dealer down in Holland Park. It's the only one left that's on the road. That's incredible, isn't it? And this one's to competition use. The original 1300 engine has been swapped for 1600, but apparently you wouldn't know it's period correct. And we've got a Sierra Sapphire Cosworth, 220 brake horsepower of fun. So here we've got Simon Templar. So look that one up if you don't know the reference to that one, but the Saint drove one of these. This is a later car, it's a P1800S. The S on the back here stands for Sweden. So originally produced by Jensen on behalf of Volvo, due I think to capacity and some of the demands they got on the factory, and eventually production was brought back in-house from Jensen to Volvo in Sweden, and that's when it picked up the S. The early cars had the sort of cow horns, so-called cow horns on the front bumper. This one doesn't, denoting the fact that it is a later car in Sweden produced. So hiding here in a bit of shade is this delightful 72-73 Escort. It's got that dog bone, so-called dog bone grille. This one is delightful because it's an 1100L. It's not a Mexico, it's not an S, it's not an E. It is a bog standard L, and it looks absolutely immaculate, doesn't it? Replaced the Anglia, I think Ford Anglia in 68, 69. Ford got a lot of pushback initially with the car. Originally was supposed to be called the Anglia, and then they came up with a name that sold across Europe, which was the Escort. We've got a couple of Westfields there, very bright ones, and next to it we've got another XK. Then we've got a Capri injection. Now it's not the 280, the run-out model, it's the injection. It's the 2.8 litre from what, 86 on a C, in that burgundy colour with those very distinctive injection stripes that the cars had. Lovely Recaro seats in it, factory metal sunroof, and of course a lip spoiler at the back. Capri, the car you always promise yourself, they said, and that one looks lovely, doesn't it? So the Mark III Escort eventually evolved into the Mark IV, and in this XR3i format it's got that droop bonnet or drop down nose in there. It's got what, maybe 115 brake horsepower, that's all. Very distinctive looking cars. It's got the stripes in the bumpers as the XR3i's had. By this time the car was sort of knocking on a bit. They'd added things like Girling ABS brakes, I think only on the front brakes at that time, still to keep the car fresh, and the Focus was still a few years away. So how apt that on the 50th year of the Golf we've actually got a Golf GTI, and this one is an 83. I think the car was introduced maybe a couple of years after the Golf in 75. This one's got those lovely P-slot Pirelli alloys that are quite desirable. It's in beautiful order as well. It's a two-door, as all the best looking ones are, and it's looking pretty well for its age, isn't it? And well, there you go. So it's certainly going to be on an adventure today, isn't it? A Lotus Cortina. Sounds sweet, doesn't it? Wolseley heading for the start, closely followed by an Austin Mini Cooper S. Beautiful. And a Ford Cortina Mark II, the Roy Haynes design, this time given the Lotus treatment, and that also looks very distinctive. Got the distinctive stripe, the green flash on the stride, the Lotus badge at the back. Now you're not likely to see too many Volkswagen Siroccos. The coupe based on the Golf platform. This is a 79, it's a GLS, making apparently its 12th entry to this event, the London to Brighton event, and it's a beautiful car in that Kingfisher blue colour, isn't it? What a pretty little coupe they are. So a Series 1 landing might not be the most comfortable way to travel, but it certainly looks good, doesn't it? So making its way out is this lovely red Herald, separate chassis on those to the body. That's beautiful with those white wool tyres. So the Mercedes SL clicked over for a big birthday last year because I was at the party. It was the 60th since it had been introduced at, I think, the 63 Geneva Motor Show, and this one also looks a treat. It's a right-hand drive car, UK car, and oh, it's a manual. Absolutely, not too many manuals about, and certainly not too many that look quite as nice as this one, to be fair, and it's the 230. Beautiful. So those in Saab circles will know this is a very special Saab 9.3. It's the Vigan, so it picked up some additional power, some significant power increase over the standard car, and I'll put that in screen because I can't remember, but it's got all important the conversion from Abbott that really actually made the best of the chassis. So lovely car. These are still stunning value in terms of the performance, and that looks quite a way to travel. That deep lustrous black paint work, yeah, I'm sort of envious of that one. That looks lovely, doesn't it? Beautiful. I may well have to correct myself on this one. It's Aston Martin badged. It's got the Tickford coach building badges on the side. I believe it to be a DB23. I'll try and correct that one because I'm not 100% sure, so some of you eagle-eyed viewers may well know far better than me on that one, but I tell you what, as a Grand Tourer, it looks like a lovely place to travel, doesn't it? What a stylish looking car they are, particularly in that two-tone. I've never seen one in that two-tone colour. Unusual, isn't it? Volkswagen Beetle, based, built by Karmann at Osnabrück in Germany. It can only be a Karmann gear. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? Lotus Esprit, I think this was a Giugiaro design, not the later Peter Stevens cars, more rounded. This one is, it's got a pair of skis on the top. Okay, I'm not sure you're going to need those today, but it might come in handy when it gets a bit colder. Look at that beautiful blue leather interior. I think the gearbox by this stage was still Renault, maybe Renault 25 source, something like that. Ah, lovely. They are incredible looking cars. That wedge shape just has stood the test of time, haven't they? I think those rear lights are Rover SD1. I don't know. Put that in the comments if you know that for sure. So based on the Audax, or Audacious in Latin, series of cars by the Roots Group is this Singer, and it's got things like its period features. It's got that sun visor over the windscreen. That's a handy feature. A lot of cars back in the sort of 50s and early 60s used to have those. That's probably a good idea in actual fact, isn't it? And it's got this lovely two-tone. The Gazelle's got this two-tone paint finish, sort of metallic beige colour really, over with a black stripe. So this Opel Manta is not unusual. It's a right-hand drive car that the owners had for 43 years. It's got that trademark, what's that, Stingray on the side, the symbol. We'll just get a shot inside it there. It's apparently the two-door coupe version, or the slightly more practical version of the Opel GT, because you've got a pair of back seats here. That's the only one of those I suspect we're going to see today, and certainly there can't be too many of those that are UK cars. That's lovely, isn't it? So this is an unusual one. It's virtually 40 years old, and it's a Cavalier Mark II SRI. So the SRs came first, the carburettor cars, then subsequently the SRIs came later, and this must be one of those first SRI cars. So it's got the Recaro interior. So we're going to have a quick look inside. The owner's asked me to, or I've asked him, and he's going to let me have a quick look inside the car. So let's have a look what all the fuss was about back in the day. Oh, this brings back memories. I only ever had an L. I used to dream about one of these. Look at that slab forward facing, or dash that sort of faces towards the driver at the top. That beautiful Recaro interior that they had. Later I think they took Recaro seats out in later versions. Lots of floor space in there. Oh, he's even got the original Vauxhall mats. Oh, it's sad that I remember those Fisher C boxes for your cassettes. Wow, what a place to be, eh? And it's a 5-speeder as well. Absolute luxury. Isn't that beautiful? Now this little beauty is a recreation of an Abarth 595. It's got a stunning, wait for it, 45 to 50 horsepower. Don't scoff at that. The basic ones are only 12 apparently. That looks lovely, doesn't it? Now I do love it with these that a proper accepted mod is that the engine cover is propped open like that for cooling, and it's not, looks like somebody did that in their shed, but it isn't. It actually needs that for cooling and for the space for the engine. Incredible cars, aren't they? What is not to like about one of those? Aren't they cute? Lovely. Well, it says Aston Martin on it, and it certainly looks like an Aston Martin Zagato, but I don't think it is. I suspect, just looking at the dashboard on this one, it is one of those Z3, BMW Z3 based cars, and there's a few of them. Yeah, that dashboard's definitely Z3. If you know different, put it in the comments. Lovely colour, and they've done an absolutely beautiful job. I recently saw another one, I think it was a BMW 507 based on a Z3, so it seems to be a popular theme, building tribute cars on Z3s. Beautiful. So if I had a choice of car for the trip today, I might be tempted with this left-hand drive only Lancia Delta Integrale Evo. That probably would be my choice. All left-hand drive. There were some right-hand drive cars, but they were all conversions. That one's in a lovely condition, isn't it? Beautiful condition. Drove one of these on the channel some time ago and enjoyed it immensely. Still incredibly quick and really great for handling still today. This 6566 Beetles also making the journey. It looks a treat, doesn't it? Look at those hubcaps, how much they stick out. You'd catch your shins on those, wouldn't you? It's got the indicators built into the main lamps rather than, I think they were separated later in later model years, but it is in really pops with the white wall tyres and the red paintwork. It looks an absolute treat, doesn't it? It's got that lovely sort of plastic bobble trim on the inside. That'll burn your backside on a day like today, won't it, if it gets a bit too hot? But it's all part of the fun of classic car ownership. So this time we've got a later Beetle, and it's one of the limited run of Jeans editions. I think this was a global limited edition that VW did. It's got the later features. It's got the this one's got the indicators high on the wings. It's got the black finish to the bezels on the lights. I suspect it might be packing a punch here because it's got its engine cover propped open as well, probably for a bit more cooling, but they're really distinctive, aren't they, this generation of Beetle with the those bigger backlights. Love them in the Jeans livery. So quite American influenced is the Ford V8 Pilot, which was Ford of Great Britain's first large car after World War, introduced in the late 40s, replaced in the 50s by the Consul, so the Zephyr range. Incredible cars. I think the first cars had a relatively lowly 2.2, even though they were V8, and I think later cars took an American sourced or American designed engine with a bit more power. Incredible car. You can see the American styling influence, can't you, here? I mean, look at that symbol. I don't know whether that the bonnet emblem is an original one or not, but it's a very imposing looking car. You gotta like polishing chrome to have a car like that, haven't you, really? There's plenty to polish. So here we got an Escort Mexico Mark II. You see less of those than you seem to see of the RS2000s. So this is apparently one of 16 cherry based, also known as Sunny Datsuns, and doesn't it sound an absolute treat? Yeah, this one's certainly a very stylish way. I think probably one of the rarest cars here. Beautiful. So the David Back P5 Rover was originally introduced with a 3-litre engine, subsequently replaced by the 3.5-litre small block Buick engine bought in from the States. And we've got two examples here. We've got, first of all, I think it's a Mark 1 with a 3-litre engine, and we've got, I think, probably one of the prettiest, the lower rear roof line of the coupe of the P5B. Don't they just look very statesman-like? The Queen ran them. There were government cars. I remember Margaret Thatcher, Harold Wilson, and pretty much all the prime ministers of the 60s and 70s actually went round in these. I'm proving we've got something for everybody here today. Another car hitting the road shortly is this Camaro SS. Actually, look like a practical 4-seater, those. I wonder if it's completely pillarless, where you can drop the side windows. Fair bit of room in there, in actual fact, as you'd expect. Quite a distinctive design of those, actually. Probably one of the more attractive American cars of that period, to me anyway. So the Volvo 121, sometimes or often known as Amazon, never officially known as that. The engines on these made them quite suitable for installation in other cars, and even some of the Marcus of the period, I think, used a version of this B series engine they had. This one's in, like many of them, it's got a pair of rally lights on the front, and it's ready for a bit of historic rallying by the look of it. Well, this is a very stylish looking Maserati Indy. Lovely in that baby blue colour, isn't it? Doesn't that look a treat? Baby blue with a beige interior. What more could anybody possibly want with that car? Not sure about the Elvis on the dashboard. We'll leave that one for now. And I've seen this car here before, in actual fact. I think it's in pretty regular use, which is great to see, isn't it? Got to get a shot of that Rolls Royce. What is it, a 2020? I don't know. 2020. Okay. What a great looking car. They've made the effort, haven't they? So Thames was the entity that Ford used to brand their vans. That's the Caravanette version of the Thames, and one of those used on the Italian job as a crew bus, you might remember. So this is one of 90 Lagondas. I think the gentleman said it was from 55, 3 litres. Got a bit of a look of a Rolls about it, hasn't it? Suicide doors on it, incredible. I'm not sure when that one's going to arrive in Brighton, but good luck with that. So the Mark II Cavalier arrived just slightly ahead of the Sierra's launch by Ford, and to try and bolster some interest, Vauxhall developed this cabriolet based on the 2-door version. I don't think the 2-door shells were ever sold in the UK, but actually built by a company called Hammond & Thiede or something like that in Germany. You do actually see a surprising amount of these have actually survived. But this is a later car because it's got the facelift, or it's certainly got the facelift at the back. So things are hotting up here, people are getting ready to go out, and one of the cars getting ready to go is this Mark IV Escort RS Turbos. The original RS Turbos are all pretty much built in white. I think Lady Diana had one that was black or something like that. But you did get a colour choice with the later Mark IV car, still packing only around, what, 130 brake horse or something. You know, seldom seen, once commonplace. That's lovely, that one, isn't it? Well, I think the last time I saw one of these was at Retro Rides. It's a Honda Prelude. It's totally unspoilt. It's got the pop-up lights. It's got that smoky coloured band underneath that runs into the indicators. This one is totally unmolested. It is, as Honda intended, as standard could be. It's an EX grade car, and doesn't it look absolutely lovely? This is 50s class, isn't it? Is it a Velox or is it a Cresta? Oh, it's a Cresta. Beautiful colour scheme on that Cresta. Look at the wrap-round rear windows. That incredible styling that they've got. This was proper sort of 50s Americana translated for by Vauxhall for the UK. Beautiful. Ford Prefect. Isn't that a little Bobby Dazzler? Beautiful condition. So Harry Potter fans, eat your heart out. We've got an Anglia, and this is not the 105, it's a 123 because it's the 1200. It's the Super, so it's got a full width grille rather than the very small grille the very basic cars has. We'll have to find out what makes it super, apart from the way it looks. from the owner, won't we? But this 1200cc little beast is also on its way down to Brighton, and it looks an absolute treat, doesn't it? Isn't that lovely? From 1964. It survived well. Now BMW do a great job of coupes, don't they? And this is, I think, an E9 CSL from what, 73, 74, M plated. Looks like it's in a lovely black metallic. It's in beautiful condition. The owners have helpfully left the windows down so we can see it's got the blue over black trim. Quite a fair bit of wood going in there, manual. And it looks like it may well have the original deal. Yeah, it has. BMW Park Lane with the old London number starting prefix 01. Oh, that looks gorgeous, doesn't it? So predecessor to the S-Class or Sonder class is the W, I think 108, 109 series cars. This is from 65, convertible. Saw the owner battling with a column gear change. That must take a bit of learning. It's in beautiful order, isn't it? Sort of old English white, probably Alpine white. Wouldn't be old English white, German car, would it? It is a beautiful, proper Grand Tourer. Lovely biscuit coloured trim inside, as I mentioned, column gear change, period looking radio, maybe it's Bluetooth adapted, who knows. But I tell you what, I could happily take that one down to Brighton myself today, because it just looks incredible, doesn't it? What an elegant set of wheels that is. So this is quite unusual. It's a Kingfisher Blue Sovereign XJ40 4-litre engine, but it spent beginning of its life, it's spent in Australia. Australian supplied some detailed changes to specification. It's got air conditioning, as you would expect. They are a lovely place to be. You sit quite deep in there in the footwell. There's not a massive amount of room like you would expect. It's got that semi sort of electronic part of the dash there where you've got a little control centre. It's a lovely, lovely place to be. It's still got a sunroof. Yeah, absolutely, quite a special car inside, and actually starting to become collectible. It's got the J gate. You see the J gate where you can knock it across and use it as a semi manual, and you know, reminiscent of Jaguars of old inside, but state of the art back in the 80s and early 90s. That looks absolutely lovely, doesn't it? I can see why the owner likes that, and it looks beautiful in that Kingfisher blue. Now the MGA was massively popular, and I think replaced the TF Midget, replaced quite an old looking car. These sold in huge numbers, and this one is ever so pretty, isn't it, in this dark blue with this cream leather interior, or sort of beige. Looks lovely, doesn't it? So thanks again for joining me on Lot 76 Cars at the London to Brighton Classic Run, starting at Brooklands. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Please like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to click on notifications, and once again, as always, thanks for watching.